5 hurt as helicopter crashes at Huntington Beach event. 5 people were hospitalized Saturday afternoon after a Bell 222 helicopter crashed in Huntington Beach, California, during the Cars and Copters event. 2 individuals aboard the aircraft and 3 spectators on the ground, including a child, sustained injuries and were transported to local hospitals. No fatalities were reported in the incident, which occurred near a pedestrian bridge and hotels on Pacific Coast Highway after the helicopter reportedly lost control, struck palm trees, and crashed. The helicopter's pilot suffered spinal cord, sternum, and rib fractures, while a passenger sustained a broken ankle and compressed spine. Both were conscious after the crash. Specific conditions for the 3 injured pedestrians remain largely undisclosed. The Federal Aviation Administration and National Transportation Safety Board are investigating the cause, with preliminary reports suggesting a potential tail rotor or engine malfunction. Organizers confirmed the annual event proceeded as scheduled Sunday, October 12.
The rear blade just flew off and thankfully no one got injured with it flying off.
The palm trees looked like they saved the lives of the people in the helicopter. Glad nobody was killed. May they all have a speedy recovery.
Hoping all are okay. It could have been so much worse. Those palm trees saved lives.
That's how I know I played too much GTA, because I was expecting it to blow up on impact.
Yup, without the tail rotor, the heli will start to spin with the main rotor. It's wild how that tiny tail rotor makes all the difference.
This was the best outcome for this unfortunate situation. So many other bad things could have happened.
Looks like that tree made the fall a bit more graceful. I hope everyone's alright.
Trump announces AstraZeneca deal to lower drug prices. President Donald Trump announced Friday, October 10, 2025, a deal with pharmaceutical company AstraZeneca at the White House to lower prescription drug prices for Americans. The agreement includes major discounts on AstraZeneca's medications, offering most favored nations prices for Medicaid, which means the lowest global price. The company will also list popular drugs at reduced costs on the upcoming TrumpRx.gov website. AstraZeneca pledged to invest $50 billion in the United States by 2030 for research, development, and new manufacturing facilities, including a plant in Charlottesville, Virginia. This initiative, part of the administration's Most Favored Nation campaign, aims to save American taxpayers hundreds of millions annually by aligning U.S. drug prices with lower international rates. The TrumpRx.gov platform, expected to launch in early 2026, will direct consumers to discounted prices, potentially saving 50% to 85% on some medications. The deal follows a similar pact with Pfizer and comes amid administration threats of tariffs on imported branded drugs for non-compliant companies.
Groceries are not down.
Groceries down, fuel down, energy down. These guys lives in a different reality.
Great waiting to have my $13,000 a month cancer drug, made by AstraZeneca, lowered to a price that's in my budget since I receive $1,629 a month in SS retirement benefits. Make medicine here in the US, no China or India.
Doesn't matter if people can't afford to go to the doctor.
Katie Porter attempts to end CBS interview over Republican voter questions. California gubernatorial candidate Katie Porter threatened to end a CBS News interview this week after a reporter pressed her on how she would win over Trump supporters. A clip circulating online shows Porter rejecting repeated follow-up questions as unnecessarily argumentative and attempting to conclude the conversation. The moment drew sharp criticism from her political rivals, and some commentators called on her to reconsider her candidacy. The release of the footage also reignited scrutiny of past controversies, including a 2021 clip showing Porter scolding a staffer on camera. Porter's campaign responded that, despite the filmed exchange, the interview actually continued for another 20 minutes. Porter had been viewed as a frontrunner in the race to succeed term-limited Governor Gavin Newsom, but the episode has placed fresh focus on her temperament and media strategy in a highly competitive field.
That woman is 325 pounds of crazy. Voting for whoever is opposing that thing.
She looks and sounds absolutely insane. How did she even get all the way to this point?
Honestly, if she can't answer a simple question, why is she in her current position? This woman does not belong in public office. Unhinged people running for office is scary.
David is embarrassing himself. This woman has no business being in public office.
Wanted to storm off, then realized that would require standing up.
Porter is a horrible person. Disgusting behavior.
She is dangerous. She is unhinged. She is abusive.
New York Attorney General Letitia James indicted on federal fraud charges. New York Attorney General Letitia James was indicted on October 9, 2025, in the Eastern District of Virginia, on charges of bank fraud and making false statements to a financial institution. Prosecutors alleged that James misrepresented the use of a property in Norfolk, Virginia, claiming it as a second home, to obtain favorable mortgage terms, while later treating it as an investment property and seeking tax benefits. The indictment contends she realized approximately $18,933 in benefits from favorable loan terms over the life of the mortgage. James has denounced the charges as politically motivated, calling them a weaponization of our justice system. U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan emphasized in a statement, "No one is above the law." James is scheduled to be arraigned on October 24, 2025, at the federal courthouse in Norfolk. If convicted, each count could carry a maximum penalty of 30 years imprisonment and fines up to $1 million, in addition to forfeiture. A felony conviction might also jeopardize her law license and force her to resign from her post.
Wait, what? I thought no one was above the law?
Proving once again the Dems are the ultimate hypocrites.
Now it's weaponization? Her entire campaign was run on getting Trump. Now that was weaponization. GTFO. What a hypocrite. She can dish it out but can't take it.
No matter how big, rich or powerful you think you are, no one is above the law. Letitia James.
The height of hypocrisy.
Oh, you mean go after people like you did and still do? Doc Holliday nailed it. It's not revenge he's after, it's a reckoning. Her goose is cooked if there is any justice left in this country. Such an evil person. She ran on getting Trump. Now she's blaming Trump for what she 100% did.
U.S. imposes 100% tariff on China imports amid rising trade tensions. The United States announced it will impose an additional 100% tariff on select Chinese imports starting November 1, 2025, sharply escalating trade tensions. The move adds to existing tariffs and follows China's new export restrictions on rare earth minerals and processing technologies, controls viewed as targeting foreign defense and semiconductor sectors. The U.S. action raised doubts over a potential Biden-Xi meeting at the upcoming APEC summit in South Korea, while major stock indexes fell after the announcement. Washington accuses Beijing of leveraging its dominance in critical minerals to pressure Western industries. Legal challenges are also mounting. A recent U.S. appeals court ruling questioned the president's authority to impose sweeping tariffs under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, emphasizing Congress's control over trade policy. As of mid-October, the measure remains pending implementation, with both governments signaling possible retaliation or negotiation in what analysts call a renewed U.S.-China trade war.
He still doesn't get it.
Our farmers are already obliterated. More small businesses are going to go bankrupt and inflation will continue to rise. Another Trump own goal. It's funny that Americans are blaming China for what had happened.
Rare earth ban to America will make the world more peaceful.
US restrict AI chip sell to China. China restrict rare earth sell to US. For me, this is fair trade.
Venezuelan opposition leader Machado receives Nobel Peace Prize. Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado received the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize for her efforts to promote democracy and human rights in Venezuela. The Nobel Committee hailed her as a brave and committed champion of peace, recognizing her long campaign for free elections under President Nicolas Maduro's authoritarian rule. Machado, who leads a movement advocating political freedom, dedicated the award to the Venezuelan people and thanked international allies for supporting the country's democratic aspirations. She also expressed appreciation to former U.S. President Donald Trump, citing his administration's stance against the Maduro government. The United Nations and several Western governments welcomed the award as a symbol of hope for Venezuela. Meanwhile, reports indicate Russian embassy personnel have left Caracas, which Machado described as evidence of Maduro's growing isolation. Although the regime remains firmly in control, observers say the Nobel honor has renewed international attention on Venezuela's political crisis.
Very honorable Maria, I feel good that a person like you received this prestigious award.
This woman fights for democracy while Trump tries to destroy it. Thank you, it was a no-brainer.
I love this woman. Keep fighting the good fight in Venezuela.
Trump can't even bring peace to his own country. Lord, please keep this brave woman safe.
Ever notice how Trump only ever talks about his problems and never actually talks about the problems American citizens are facing? This lady obviously has a beautiful heart. What a beautiful gesture. You cannot win the Nobel Peace Prize when you are waging war in your own country.
I have never been this happy. Wow, that's class. Congratulations to Maria Corina Machado.
Hamas redeploys in Gaza as ceasefire takes effect. A ceasefire between Israel and Hamas took effect today, with Hamas security forces reportedly redeploying across the Gaza Strip while Israeli troops pull back, setting the stage for an anticipated hostage release. Israeli families have gathered in Tel Aviv, awaiting updates on the return of about 20 remaining living hostages, expected to begin by Monday, in exchange for nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. This marks the first phase of a broader peace framework in which humanitarian aid to Gaza is expected to increase. Although Hamas has already resumed certain internal authority, such as establishing checkpoints and directing traffic, skepticism persists over the group's long-term relinquishment of governance and military control. Some observers question Hamas's commitment, citing its rapid redeployment and sustained rhetoric of victory despite leadership losses. Former President Trump reportedly warned Hamas to uphold the ceasefire. Meanwhile, tens of thousands of displaced Palestinians are returning to damaged homes, and the U.S. is deploying around 200 troops to the region in a monitoring capacity, though they will not enter Gaza.
Never negotiate with terrorists.
Complete obliteration of Hamas is exactly what was needed.
Make no mistake, they will reassemble, they will try to do it again. A snake can never be trusted.
Never trust Hamas, Hezbollah, the UN, the WEF, Macron, Albanese or the British Prime Minister.
You can't cure a rabid dog. You have to put it down.
The IDF would have finished the job a long time ago if other countries would have stayed out of their business. How dumb can anyone be? Hamas cannot be trusted. They are playing everyone for fools. Hamas will not uphold the agreement. Hamas out of their holes. Hamas is not part of the human race. Never will be. Until Hamas is removed, there will be no peace.
If Hamas reneges in any way on this peace deal, we simply remove any restraints we've put on the IDF and let them go in and finish the job.
Anyone who thinks they will disarm is not living in reality.
Melania Trump announces reunification of Ukrainian children displaced by war. On Friday, October 10, 2025, First Lady Melania Trump announced that she had established an open channel with Russian President Vladimir Putin, leading to the reunification of 8 Ukrainian children with their families. The effort, initiated through back-channel communications that began in August, is part of a broader humanitarian initiative to assist children displaced by the Russia-Ukraine war. According to the First Lady's office, the children were returned within the past day, and representatives from both sides verified their circumstances. She also stated that Russia had agreed to cooperate in facilitating the return of individuals who were minors when displaced but have since reached adulthood. Separately, President Donald Trump is preparing for a trip to Israel and Egypt to commemorate a U.S.-brokered ceasefire and hostage exchange agreement. He is expected to attend a signing ceremony and address Israel's parliament, highlighting the accord and related humanitarian efforts during his visit.
How about the Palestinian children who are butchered in a much larger scale? Do their lives not matter? Direct line to Putin? Is that supposed to be a good thing?
Shouldn't Melania have been deported by now?
This is a clear case of discrimination. No concern has been shown for the thousands of Gaza's children who have been slaughtered and burned over the past 2 years. What about our children in America who are being zip-tied during ICE raids? When will our government care about them? Oh, please. There are tens of thousands of children who have been abducted by Putin, even more who have been displaced and are refugees. Not to mention the children in Gaza, in Yemen, in Sudan, Venezuela. Should I continue?
We are First Lady for the first time since she last was our First Lady.
How wonderful, but she never expressed any remorse or concern about her husband's policy that separated thousands of families during his first admin. What about any concern for the children who are now being torn from their families due to the despicable policies of her husband?
Meanwhile, no mention of all the missing children in our own country.
Trump orders military pay as federal layoffs begin amid shutdown. President Donald Trump directed the Pentagon to ensure that military personnel receive paychecks by October 15, ordering the use of all available funds despite the ongoing government shutdown. Federal agencies have begun issuing layoff notices, with Budget Director Russ Vought confirming that thousands of employees are affected across several departments, including Health and Human Services. Now in its 11th day, the shutdown stems from a standoff over spending priorities, Republicans pushing for cuts to Medicaid, while Democrats seek to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies. Roughly 4,200 federal workers across at least 7 agencies have received termination notices. Democratic lawmakers condemned the move as politically driven and potentially illegal. A major federal workers' union is preparing a lawsuit to block the dismissals, arguing they violate precedent and labor protections. The layoffs mark a sharp escalation from previous shutdowns, intensifying both the political and legal stakes of the budget impasse.
Here's some much-needed context for you all. Most federal employees are not politicians, they're regular everyday people.
I love how everyone says, Congress shouldn't get paid during a shutdown, like that matters to them. They're all wealthy from insider trading, speaking engagements, back alley lobbyist deals, etc. Not paying them for a few weeks during a shutdown won't hurt them a bit. Withhold Congress pay. If we don't work, we don't get paid. If ordinary federal workers have their pay withheld, then Congress people should have theirs withheld also.
Why are they so happy about laying off American citizens?
Meanwhile, construction continues on the $200 million gilded ballroom. Is America great yet?
Politicians shouldn't be paid, military 100% should.
Americans losing their job and Argentina getting $20 billion bailout. JFC.
Good thing we sent $20 billion to Argentina to save their government from shutting down.
Russia warns U.S. over potential Tomahawk missile deployment to Ukraine. Russian officials warned that deploying Tomahawk cruise missiles to Ukraine would seriously damage Moscow-Washington relations and further escalate the conflict. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov described the potential deployment as a dramatic escalation, noting that some Tomahawk variants are capable of carrying nuclear warheads and could reach deep into Russian territory. President Vladimir Putin said that providing such missiles would mark a new stage of U.S. involvement in the war and raise the confrontation to a qualitatively higher level. He indicated that Russia would strengthen its air defense systems and could intercept any incoming missiles. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky voiced concern over the risk of escalation but criticized the slow delivery of long-range weapons from allied nations. Military analysts note that Tomahawk missiles would give Ukraine the ability to strike targets far beyond its current range. Moscow has also argued that some retired Tomahawk variants retain nuclear capability and cited its suspended participation in the 1996 Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty as part of its rationale for maintaining strategic deterrence.
Zelensky asking for Tomahawk shows that he doesn't give a flying damn about Ukrainians. All he does is listening what other tells him. I'm afraid he won't end well. Zelensky is sickening, revolting. What a disgusting criminal. Go Russia.
For the love of God, whatever God you believe in, stop this madness. Russia is not our enemy, our own governments are.
Maria is graceful, intelligent, and eloquent. A perfect press secretary.
You know who ruins everything? People in power. Good people don't gravitate to positions of power. Just the money and power-grubbing narcissists. Meanwhile, really good citizens are dying because those assholes in power do not actually care about their people. We are all just pawns in a shitty game. We should be using all that military money on fixing our global problems, not causing more.
I don't understand. PPL see this actor as hero.
Why is Russia still hopes that US will really treat Russia as friend? The US sees no friends or allies. They only look at itself as the sole inhabitant of the planet.
Trump is stupid enough to send these Tomahawks. Watch him cry when he sees what will happen when this happens.
Citizens of Ukraine are facing the results of an immature comedian.
Israel transfers prisoners ahead of hostage exchange. Israel transferred 250 Palestinian prisoners on Saturday to facilities near the Egyptian border, preparing for an exchange with Hamas expected Monday, involving 48 Israeli hostages held in Gaza. The move came on the second day of a ceasefire, allowing over 500,000 people to return to northern Gaza. Hamas officials confirmed the exchange would include about 2,000 Palestinian prisoners under the first phase of the deal. From Doha, Qatar, Hamas political leader Houssam Badran said the group remained ready for battle if fighting resumes, describing its weapons as purely defensive. He rejected disarmament demands and dismissed proposals to ban Hamas from Gaza as absurd. Badran also said Hamas would boycott Monday's peace summit in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, where former U.S. President Donald Trump and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi are expected to sign a broader agreement. The second phase of the Trump peace plan, according to Badran, will be more complex, requiring Palestinian unity before further negotiations. Meanwhile, U.S. and French diplomats continue efforts toward a transitional Gaza administration under international oversight. Hamas warned that if Palestinian statehood remains unresolved, resistance will continue by all means.
Fight? Where? The Palestinian people were suffering, using the people as a shield, picking a fight with someone bigger and more powerful that you can't win.
He's ready to hide behind the civilians.
To stay inside a hidden tunnel while your people are bombed and starved, no one can stand to see this fight anymore.
Hamas no longer has the bodies of the hostages it was promised and still wants to keep arming itself? Rats are hard to eradicate.
It was missing to pass the Cerulino thin in this gentleman here.
Let's see if Hamas will do its part.
Justice Barroso announces early retirement, Lula to name third Supreme Court pick. Supreme Federal Court Justice Luis Roberto Barroso announced his early retirement Thursday, creating a vacancy President Luis Inácio Lula da Silva will fill. This marks President Lula's third Supreme Court nomination during his current term, offering another opportunity to shape the 11-member High Court. Justice Barroso's departure comes 8 years before his mandatory retirement at age 75. Attorney General of the Union Jorge Macias is reportedly the leading candidate to succeed Barroso, with Senator Rodrigo Pacheco and Bruno Dantas of the Court of Accounts of the Union also mentioned as potential nominees. The president's nominee must be between 35 and 75 years old, possess recognized legal knowledge, and have an unblemished reputation, requiring approval from the federal Senate following a public hearing and an absolute majority vote.
Maybe Marcola is more serious than those who are there.
His most important phrase and the one that will mark his miserable life: you don't win elections, you take them.
You lost, man.
We are in a country dominated by crooks in power. Whoever gets in there will be to protect the corrupt and their cronies.
Where Barroso goes, Magnitsky follows.
If you put the two together, you don't get half.
Both are expected to fail the Senate hearing.
What a disgrace for the country that has these two creatures as options. With so many qualified people, to be restricted to that, it's darkness.
Another rat jumping ship.
Indonesia Finance Minister optimistic on stocks, addresses debt, school funds. Indonesia's Finance Minister Purbaya Yudi Sadewa expressed confidence in the country's economic outlook during public appearances on October 9 to 10, 2025, projecting that the Jakarta Composite Index, JCI, could reach 36,000 by 2035 given Indonesia's strong fundamentals. The JCI closed at 8,258 points on October 10. Sadewa also urged the Indonesia Stock Exchange, IDX, and the Financial Services Authority, OJK, to step up efforts against stock manipulation to protect retail investors. Addressing concerns about national finances, the minister reassured the public that Indonesia's debt, Rp 9,138 trillion as of June 2025, remains safe at 39.86% of GDP, pledging to maintain fiscal discipline. Regarding reports that the state budget might be used for rebuilding the Al-Khozani Islamic boarding school, which collapsed in September, Sadewa said his ministry had not yet received formal proposals and emphasized adherence to proper funding procedures. The Ministry of Public Works previously announced emergency plans to reconstruct the facility.
This minister really understands everything. I'm sure he can make the country's economy better.
Yes, this is a minister who understands the market. Brush up on the fried, sir.
This is the first time a minister has the courage to discuss fried stocks. OJK just closed its eyes. Steady, Mr. Purbaya.
It's easy to pay off the country's debt. Legalize the law, corruptors beheaded, assets confiscated. Our country must be developed and prosperous.
The debt is increasing due to many leaks and building redundant infrastructure.
Confiscation of corrupt assets is immediately paid off.
Mantap. Purbaya has high knowledge and courage like President Prabowo. Bravo Prabowo Purbaya.
Relax, Mr. Pure. Pay off the national debt with the proceeds from the seizure of the assets of the corrupt. Remove officials whose work is not serious, who only eat blind salaries.
Trump imposes new tariffs, export controls on China. Beijing condemns move. President Donald Trump announced new 100% tariffs on Chinese imports and U.S. export controls on essential software, effective November 1, 2025, prompting immediate condemnation from Beijing. The announcement, made October 11, 2025, via Truth Social, drew a swift response from China's Ministry of Commerce, which accused the U.S. of double standards and threatened resolute measures. Global financial markets reacted with significant declines on October 10, 2025, including major U.S. stock indexes and Asian markets. These U.S. actions followed China's expanded export controls on rare earth elements and related technologies, effective October 9, 2025, along with new port fees and an antitrust investigation into U.S. chipmaker Qualcomm. The escalating tensions cast uncertainty over a planned meeting between Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping at the APEC summit in South Korea later this month, though Trump later clarified the meeting was not formally canceled. The announcement also comes after an August 29 federal court ruling deemed most of Trump's existing tariffs illegal, a decision the administration plans to appeal.
U.S. wants to give any tariffs U.S. still loses slowly will be destroyed.
He started it, he's the aggressive one.
China doesn't send goods to the U.S., so what do you want to impose tariffs on? The goods just don't exist. Conversely, China also does not buy goods from the U.S. ranging from agriculture to technology. What can be sanctioned? For China, it is enough to stop pure rare earths.
Whether it's a trade war or an arms war, China is far superior.
China's Indonesian tariffs are even asking for mercy. Just wait for China's reply to make America's economy chaotic.
I don't care about the fair anymore.
He started it, he's also the one who feels oppressed.
China doesn't need USA. Next world doesn't need USA. World without USA is safer, fairer, better.
U.S. deploys troops to Israel as Mideast peace summit begins. The United States has deployed around 200 troops to Israel to monitor the ceasefire between Hamas and Israel, ahead of a planned peace summit on Monday, October 13, 2025, in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. The troops will establish a civil-military coordination center to facilitate humanitarian aid and provide logistical and security support for Gaza. The ceasefire, which took effect on Friday, October 10, calls for the release of about 20 Israeli hostages, along with the remains of others, in exchange for nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners held by Israel. Hamas is expected to begin releasing hostages on Monday morning. President Donald Trump said he personally guaranteed that Israel would not violate the agreement, warning Hamas of severe retaliation if the truce is broken. The upcoming summit, co-led by Trump and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, aims to establish a permanent ceasefire and launch reconstruction efforts after 2 years of war. Among the expected attendees are French President Emmanuel Macron, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, and UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres. Hamas will not attend the formal signing but will coordinate through Qatari and Egyptian mediators, while Israel will not send official representatives, reportedly focusing on the hostage release process. Later phases of the peace plan are expected to address Hamas disarmament and new governance structures in Gaza.
It's good if they don't want to reconcile, so they can meet their angel quickly.
How cunning America and Israel are. Hopefully this is not a trap to weaken Hamas. Stay vigilant for Palestinian fighters. May Allah give perfect safety to the people of Gaza. Grind again until smooth.
Should be soldiers from a neutral country, not from the US, that supports Israel.
For now, the Israeli military is the strongest, fighting wars with 5 countries at the same time, all of which are devastated.
The American charade begins again. Instead of sending troops, there are hidden intentions. It's unbelievable that Donald Trump screwed up. Beware of the US.
US reloads weapons to Israel under the pretext of bringing troops while bringing weapons to Israel.
Be careful.
Pakistan, Afghan Taliban clash along border, casualties reported. Gun battles erupted along the Pakistan-Afghanistan border on October 11, 2025, leaving multiple casualties and heightening regional tensions. According to Pakistani officials, at least 3 soldiers and 1 civilian were killed and 5 others injured after clashes with Afghan Taliban forces along the Durand Line. Both sides claimed responsibility for attacking and capturing several border posts. Pakistan's military accused Taliban fighters of initiating the confrontation, while the Taliban described it as a retaliatory operation in response to alleged Pakistani airspace violations. The violence followed Pakistani airstrikes on October 9 in Kabul and Paktika, which Islamabad confirmed, saying the attacks targeted a Pakistani Taliban commander. Following the latest border clashes, the Afghan Taliban claimed to have killed 58 Pakistani soldiers and captured 25 outposts, though these figures could not be independently verified. Pakistan's military reported 23 soldiers killed and said it had eliminated more than 200 militants. Islamabad closed major border crossings on October 12, as regional governments and international observers urged both sides to exercise restraint and prevent further escalation.
It is best for both parties to exercise restraint.
Lizard versus lizard, can't decide which one to defend.
Terrorist versus terrorist.
Well, this is just right. No need to be separated and need to be reconciled so that they show each other power.
Oranges eat oranges, don't be surprised.
Wow, the Tribune is confused about which one to support.
The one who is wronged by the cadre is definitely the West.
Soon they'll blame the USA. They say they're fighting against each other. But they're the ones who like to cause trouble.
Peru Congress removes President Boluarte, interim leader takes office. Peru's Congress voted overwhelmingly on October 10, 2025, to impeach President Dina Boluarte on grounds of permanent moral incapacity, amid mounting public discontent over rampant crime and a recent concert shooting in Lima. With Boluarte absent from the session, lawmakers passed the motion in a 124-0 vote. At midnight, Jose Jerry, then President of Congress, was sworn in as interim president, tasked with guiding the country until the next general election, scheduled for April 2026. He is expected to serve the remainder of the term, ending in July 2026. Jerry, a 38-year-old lawyer, has pledged to restore public security and renew state institutions. Boluarte, who came to power in December 2022 after the removal of President Pedro Castillo, faced persistent criticism over her government's inability to restrain escalating crime, widespread protests, and accusations of corruption. Observers note that Boluarte's removal, carried out without criminal charges, reflects deeper structural volatility in Peru's political system, where frequent leadership upheavals have become the norm.
It is already a modus operandi that the one who enters is to steal, give him his time and then change him.
At least in Peru, they run their presidents or lock them up. They are not as panderers as in Mexico.
In Mexico, 2 to 3 presidents would have already passed due to incapacity for performance, corruption, extortion, nepotism, illicit enrichment and something else.
No mamen en Peru pasa y en Mexico tenemos que mantenerlos a estos narcopolíticos.
Sonal, here in Mexico it is worse.
Peruvian political pepitera, poor brother country.
Thank you Mexican brother for this news.
Nothing, it's only temporary. With this guy, this assassin already has to be in jail. And all her criminals, miserable.
She will be imprisoned de facto, for being a traitor and murderer, colluding with delinquency, hired assassins and drug trafficking. Jerry is worse, without ethics or morals.
Mexico rains kill 41, affect thousands across 31 states. Intense rains across Mexico have led to widespread flooding, landslides, and overflowing rivers, with at least 41 people confirmed dead and thousands affected. The downpours, attributed in part to Tropical Storm Raymond, remnants of Priscilla, and connected low-pressure systems, struck many regions within just a few days. Authorities report that military and naval forces numbering over 10,000 have been mobilized under Plan DN3 and Plan Marina to assist in rescue and relief operations. In the central state of Hidalgo, officials say dozens lost their lives and over 1,000 homes were damaged, while dozens of communities remain cut off. Puebla recorded 9 fatalities and tens of thousands of residents impacted, and Veracruz also confirmed multiple deaths. Power outages have affected over 320,000 users nationwide, and many roads and bridges have been compromised. Rescue efforts continue amid persistent rainfall, damaged infrastructure, and limited accessibility to remote areas. Officials warn of further danger until conditions improve.
It broke my heart to see that news. I hope everyone is well. God take care of them. Thank you for helping citizens.
Please rescue the animals too. People don't abandon the puppies, kittens already many died anyway. People don't leave them alone. Rescue the little angels of the father of 4 legs. Before, Mexicans did not loot, they were respectful. This should be discussed at home, unless it is an indicator that families are in crisis and do not have education, principles, values and culture.
Poor little animals break my heart. How many birds, puppies, cats, hens, chickens died drowned?
In Sonora, not a drop of water, pure fire.
They cry for help but they steal and plunder in earnest.
My God, have mercy on this humanity, that we are evil but we need you.
In these situations and with malicious people acting with malice aforethought and advantage,
Senator Noronha faces criticism over private plane use in Coahuila trip. Morena Senator Gerardo Fernandez Noronha has confirmed that he used a private plane over the past weekend to visit 4 municipalities in Coahuila, a move that has drawn sharp criticism from opposition lawmakers and media observers who cite the government's stated austerity principles. Noronha insists he did not use public funds for the flight, stating that tight schedules made the charter necessary, and attributing justification to a presidential posture that public servants may use private air travel when needed. He declined to reveal the funding source for the air taxi. Opposition senators have accused him of hypocrisy, arguing that his actions conflict with the government's own austerity narrative and the stance of President Claudia Sheinbaum, who has publicly stated she avoids private plane use as inconsistent with the Fourth Transformation agenda. The controversy is compounded by earlier scrutiny of Noronha's acquisition of a home valued at approximately 12 million pesos in Tepoztlan, Morelos, which also drew criticism for undermining his credibility on fiscal restraint.
He has just admitted that now that the media denounce Morena, the media will disappear? We are living in a true narco empire.
What they criticized so much are already doing the same or worse than those of the PRIAN.
Che Hippie Porcelano Noronha so much criticized the excesses of those in power, and now that he is doing excesses, he gets upset because he is discovered.
This guy Noronha should be in jail for corruption instead of threatening the press.
These politicians forget that they will soon be finished, but it is the electorate that must punish them with the vote and no longer believe them.
Massive vote against Morena.
Ha 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 ha, there can't be a rich government and poor people, they said.
A hypocrite like many politicians.
Power does not corrupt. A person is corrupted when he feels power.
Chaspium the dog of Noronha.
Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado wins Nobel Peace Prize. Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado received the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize on October 10 for her efforts to defend democracy and advocate a peaceful transition from President Nicolas Maduro's authoritarian rule. The Norwegian Nobel Committee praised the 58-year-old for her tireless struggle for the democratic rights of the Venezuelan people. Machado was barred from holding public office in June 2023, a ban upheld by the Supreme Court in January 2024, preventing her from running in the July 2024 presidential election, which Maduro claimed to win amid fraud allegations. Following protests, she was briefly detained in January 2025 and has since maintained a low public profile, though not completely absent from view. In her acceptance, Machado dedicated the award to the Venezuelan people and expressed gratitude to former U.S. President Donald Trump, drawing international attention. While government supporters condemned the prize as politically motivated, there is no verified record of a Venezuelan diplomat at the United Nations publicly rejecting her recognition.
The Nobel Prize Selection Committee deserves credit for not letting the pressure get to them. There is no way Trump deserves the award.
The most precious thing in life is to serve others and never ask for anything in return. Trump, we're going to put tariffs on the Nobel Prize.
I like the irony of the Venezuela part. It is not peaceful when you want a peace prize.
It's given, not wanted. The Nobel Peace Prize is clearly different from other Nobel Prizes. Is it extremely susceptible to political use?
Trump, they stole the Nobel Peace Prize. They're going to say that the Nobel Prize is unfair, that it's a conspiracy theory.
New Komeito Party exits coalition with Japan's LDP. Japan's new Komeito Party announced its withdrawal Friday from its 26-year coalition with the Liberal Democratic Party, LDP, citing the LDP's insufficient response to a money scandal. The move complicates the LDP's parliamentary operations and creates new challenges for Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's re-election efforts. Komeito Representative Saito stated the party could not endorse Prime Minister Kishida, making his re-election more difficult. The withdrawal forces the LDP to seek cooperation on individual policies to pass legislation, moving away from a stable majority. Komeito also expressed concerns regarding LDP President Takaichi Koichi's personnel appointments, including a former executive linked to the scandal, and his stance on political finance reform. Prime Minister Kishida expressed regret, calling the withdrawal unilateral. The decision increases the likelihood of a runoff in the upcoming Prime Minister nomination election, potentially opening a path for opposition parties to unite behind a single candidate.
Wrong? For whom? At least it's good for the LDP.
TBS is a biased news organization, a Chinese affiliate indeed. The fact that the leader of the Komeito Party, who had over 100 million undocumented, is saying that it's because of politics and money issues is nothing short of distrustful of politics.
Who made the mistake? Komeito? The LDP is good at this. Rather the best. First of all, it's bad enough that the Constitution has 148 seats.
I know the media is going to support this, and it makes me want to vomit.
We don't need another Noda as PM.
So it was the wrong choice for TBS.
Roughly, what is it with you and the Chinese ambassador? I can't talk about what Mr. Takaichi said because it would be a diplomatic issue. That's totally moronic spying.
Prime Minister Ishiba reflects on World War II causes, urges national reflection. Prime Minister Ishiba today addressed the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II, offering his personal view on why the conflict could not be avoided and calling for national reflection. He cited the absence of civilian control over the military and government scandals eroding public trust as key factors. Ishiba also criticized pre-war media for extensive pro-war coverage, which he said misled the public and fueled nationalism from the time of the Manchurian incident. He urged current politicians to resist irresponsible populism and called on the media to avoid excessive commercialism and narrow nationalism, drawing lessons from history. The Prime Minister stated he plans to follow past Prime Ministers' policies on historical recognition, avoiding mention of war responsibility.
The most wasted time in Japan right now. You don't work, you shut up.
No one will listen, just an ego that wants to leave it in the world. Quit. It doesn't sound good at all because you're the problem.
I don't want you to think about that. I want you to think about why you became Prime Minister.
A dictator who goes so far as to force his way in spite of opposition even within his own party.
Don't talk anymore. You are the worst prime minister in history since Yukio Hatoyama.
The people would like the LDP to consider why they could not avoid this prime minister.
Why did you hang on to the president's chair after losing? You should reflect on that first.
You have more problems with the current constitution, government, Congress, and media.
Ceasefire takes effect in Gaza. Abductee release deadline begins. A ceasefire is in effect in the Gaza Strip, leading to the withdrawal of Israeli forces and the immediate return of thousands of displaced Palestinians to Gaza City and northern areas. The Israeli military announced a 72-hour deadline has begun for the release of abductees, while U.S. President Donald Trump stated approximately 28 bodies are expected to be recovered and hostages are anticipated to return Monday. Displaced residents are moving through Al-Rashid and Salah al-Din streets, expressing joy despite widespread destruction and facing severe humanitarian challenges. The Gaza Ministry of Interior is deploying agencies to restore order. Israeli forces are positioned at the Yellow Line, a designated security perimeter, and are ready to receive abductees. The Israeli military spokesperson confirmed the conflict is not over, highlighting the fragile nature of the ceasefire and enduring security challenges. International relief organizations are poised to scale up operations, but access and security remain concerns.
To all those who abandoned Gaza and helped in this genocide, it is God's victory for the truth. Won't you be wise? Do you not remember the signs of God and that there is a great Creator? Glory be to God and praise be to you.
Oh God, take him away.
Organizations and the United Nations, as well as Arab brothers, should provide them with food and water and help them as soon as possible.
My message to our brothers the Mujahideen in Gaza is that the ceasefire that is happening now did not come to you from the east or from the west, and its development is the fruit of your jihad, your patience and your pure blood. It is the only bridge left in the links of this nation that is torn apart. The links of God testifies that you are righteous and it does not hurt you who let you down. Abu Ubaidah said that if you search all the sand in Gaza, you will not be able to return a single prisoner. And today you stand in front of the heroes and wait for the prisoners to be returned.
The Middle East will enjoy peace, with or without you, and the whole world will enjoy peace and Islam, God willing.
He is the one who stopped the war and put terror in the hearts of the Zionists, not the assassin Trump.